What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, there is a lot of misinformation being spread about Colin Kaepernick and his dealings or relationship with the NFL, and there's a lot of false information being spread about how certain things played out and his agenda and all this type of stuff. And a lot of that misinformation is coming from one Marcellus Wiley, but also from VladTV. Why do I say that? Because Marcellus Wiley came onto VladTV and did an interview with him after he made some very controversial statements regarding Colin Kaepernick and Colin Kaepernick's protests against police brutality. He basically insinuated that since Colin Kaepernick is not fully black and he didn't grow up in a black environment, we can't fully trust his agenda or trust him in his social justice reform cause. We can't really trust him all the way because he didn't grow up in that type of environment and he didn't grow up with black parents, even though he says that's okay. But what he said, he was suggesting that we can't all the way trust Colin Kaepernick, right? So rightfully so, Vlad brings him onto his platform and he says, let's talk about it. Now, let me say this. I watch a lot of Vlad TV interviews. I disagree with a lot of things that Vlad says or how he questions, how he words certain questions and stuff like that. I disagree with it. But there are other interviews where I really enjoy interviews from him regarding certain guests that don't come on other platforms. I've never heard their stories. Vlad gives them a platform to tell their stories and we can hear about their legend. So I appreciate that. However, he brings Marcellus Wiley on the show and Marcellus don't agree with a lot of the stuff Colin Kaepernick. He really don't agree with Colin Kaepernick's movement at all. So he comes on there and he makes some statements regarding how certain things played out with Colin Kaepernick following his last season in San Francisco. Vlad he keeps asking other guests about it, but he keeps just regurgitating Marcellus Wiley's talking points as if they're fact. He's just repeating all of Marcellus Wiley's rhetoric as if they are a law. It is what it is. This is exactly what happened. And this is my sole reference for what happened because this guy is a former NFL player. That's all he basing it on. Let me tell y'all right now, ladies and gentlemen, Vlad don't know a damn thing about sports. He don't. When he got athletes on the show, all he does is he looks at his phone. He talks about how much they got in their contract. He talked about whatever their accolades are, which you can find on Wikipedia. You can talk about how many MVPs, how many All-Star games they were in, and all that type of stuff. Vlad don't watch football at all. All he know in football is touchdown, throw the ball, and run the ball. Now, I said it because a person does not have to be well-versed in football to understand what's happening with Colin Kaepernick. However, Vlad doesn't watch football, so he doesn't understand the timeline for how a lot of these things happen. He doesn't know how a lot of this stuff works, and he doesn't know, what exactly happened in a lot of these situations because he wasn't watching football to actually know what was going on, and he hasn't done his research because Vlad is spewing a lot of statements that are just not true. They're not factual, and he's extremely misinformed on this topic. So I took the time out to write down a lot of points that I have to refute what Vlad has been saying on this channel because, all he doing is just repeating this rhetoric, what Marcellus Wiley said, and taking it as law, and it's making Cap look like he just was this dude just out for all this material gain. So that's the number one thing I want to get to. Like Marcellus and others who are against Colin Kaepernick and his movement insinuate that I didn't say they specifically say, but the things that they're saying, they're insinuating that Cap devised this whole plan to start taking a knee in order to gain enough publicity to get his starting job back secure and gain revenue and just to up his finances or secure his finances. For one, let's talk about him gaining publicity to try to get his starting job back. That's not how this works, fam. I don't know whoever watches football, and Vlad don't watch football. That's not how this works. Just because you're not gonna get your starting job back because you got a lot of publicity surrounding you. That's never how it's worked for any coaches. Coaches don't live by that rhetoric at all because they know if you're not the better option, they're gonna get fired at the end of the day. Cap got that job because he started off on the bench. He became a starter again because Blaine Gabbert was so damn terrible. He was so horrible that they're like, no, we can't win. We don't even have a chance with this guy. We got to go with the guy who previously helped take us to the Super Bowl. So they went along and got Cap. They said, look, you know what, Cap? Not in got Cap. They went and said, Cap, you go get in. Because we have a better chance of winning. And they felt like they had a better chance of winning with him in the game rather than Blaine Gabbert. So let's stop that. Then it's the whole thing that he devised this whole plan to try to gain financial security because he knew that his NFL career was coming to an end. First of all, Cap didn't announce the protest. He didn't even talk about it to begin with. Everything started off with him just sitting down during the national anthem, sitting on the bench, sitting at the end of the bench while everybody else is standing and protesting. He didn't say a word. He didn't announce it. He didn't say, look, y'all, I'm about to go start a protest to protest police brutality. I'm not going to stand for the anthem. I'm going to sit down. He didn't say none of that. All he did was quietly sit at the end of the bench. And it didn't become a story until a media member noticed that he kept sitting down and noticed that this was a pattern. And he came and asked him about why he has been sitting. And then he said, because, hey, a lot of my people aren't afforded the same justices as other people. A lot of black people have been getting gunned down. A lot of black people and people of color have been getting gunned down by law enforcement unjustly, unarmed. And I don't stand for it. And I'm not going to stand until everybody in this country until there is equal justice and liberty for all people, like the Pledge of Allegiance says. But anyway, yeah, he never even announced it or nothing. He didn't tell nobody. A media member noticed him sitting down and they asked him, and then that is when he spoke up about it. Other than that, he didn't say nothing. He didn't try to cause attention to it or nothing. He sat down there and chilled. And then when the protest gained national attention, a military member or a former military a former person who was in the military suggested that he modify his protest from sitting, because he felt like that can be a little disrespectful, to kneeling. And Colin Kaepernick says, you know what? I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm not gonna be, because it's not about the troops at all. So you know what? I don't want to be disrespectful. So I'm gonna take a knee. I'm gonna take a knee to modify that. And he did just that. And then that's when everything caught fire. So to act like he was trying to just devise this plan to create some type of attention around himself to secure his financial revenue and secure him to be this big time. No, that was not no plan at all. He wasn't saying nothing about it. He didn't even cause no attention to it. Other people saw it and they asked, what's going on with Cap? Why he's not standing? Why he's kneeling? All of that, right? And so, okay, the second point. There is this notion that, Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, Nessa, attacked Ray Lewis out of nowhere. She just did the ultimate betrayal to him. Ray Lewis was just a guy who was just trying to get Colin Kaepernick a job. And Nessa just attacked him for no reason. She just attacked him and blindsided him. That's extremely wrong. Nessa posted that pic of Stephen and Calvin Candy, the house Negro / Sambo, and a slave master from Django. She posted that pic on Twitter to describe Ray and Steve Bisciotti. I think his name is Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens. She tweeted that pic after Ray Lewis spoke against Colin Kaepernick, spoke down on him kneeling, and spoke bad about his kneeling and his whole efforts. She posted that after he went on Undisputed with Skip and Shannon and spoke down on Colin Kaepernick protesting and everything. That's when she posted that. And then Ray want to come out and act like, I was just trying to get him a job. Now he can't get a job. Now because of that, now he can't get a job. No. You spoke down on him, man. The Ravens was never going to offer him no deal at all. We all know they only said that they were in talks with him, or they were thinking about it because they wanted to look like, hey, we're a liberal team. We're all for signing Kaepernick. We'll do it. We like him. We're not those bad guys. That's the only reason they acted like they were interested in signing him. Now, second of all, so after that whole thing and Ray was acting like he was just trying to get Cap a job and all of that, all the owners, they did their own protests and started kneeling, right? They only started kneeling because the president of the United States told people to stop attending games as long as a protest occurred, which would be hurting their pockets. So they say, you know what, Mr. President, you can't be damaging our revenue, not our bottom line. You're not going to do that. Cap already doing that. We not gonna do that. So we gonna kneel and protest and act like we all for Colin Kaepernick. We all with him, and we all gonna protest and take a knee. And then Ray Lewis is out there with the Baltimore Ravens. He's sitting out there and taking a knee after he just talked down on Colin Kaepernick for doing that and talked against Colin Kaepernick's knee move, taking a knee movement. He get down there and get on 2 knees, and I knew he was gonna lie and say he was praying. I knew he was going to lie and say he was praying. And then Ray went out there and said he was praying. That's the only reason why he did it. And I said, Ray, if you don't get your ass up out of here. For real. Now, another point. There is misinformation because this is what Marcellus Wiley told him. He said, you know what? Colin Kaepernick had a lot of deals that he messed up. A lot of deals that he messed up. He had a deal from Seattle. He had a deal from Baltimore. And he chose to opt out of his contract in San Francisco. Now, look. Cap did opt out of his contract in San Francisco to bet on himself and see what other offers were available to him. Why not? A lot of people would do that. The man finished the season with 16 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, 2,241 yards, and a 90.7 passer rating, which is dope. He had a 90.7 passer rating, so which is very good, which is solid, and so he gonna bet on himself to see what other what other teams are gonna give me a deal. What other teams are gonna give me a deal? What other options do I have? I want to look at the whole market and test the market like anybody else would do, right? So that was that. And then again, Seattle and Baltimore they didn't never offer that man no deal. They just were acting like they were in talks with him to seem like they were the team that's, hey, we're not the bad guys. We're gonna sign him. We're gonna sign him. He didn't have no deal set in place. And Miami wasn't going to have no deal for him either. Because this was Vlad and them say. Vlad and Marcellus told Vlad this and Vlad ran with it. He said Colin Kaepernick ruined his chances with the Dolphins because during the time that Miami was looking to sign him, he wore a Fidel Castro shirt. He wore a Fidel Castro t-shirt during the time that Miami was trying to sign him. He just did that and messed it all up. Wrong. First of all, Colin Kaepernick wore a shirt depicting Fidel Castro and Malcolm X during his time when he was a starter, when he was the starter in San Francisco. That's when he wore that shirt. He did not wear that during the time after the season, when he finished his time with San Francisco and he was looking for a job. And no, the man wore that when he was still playing with San Francisco during the season. And because they acting like he just did that to rebel against Miami. He just did it to mess up against Miami and all of that. He wore the Fidel Castro and Malcolm X shirt on during the time that he was in San Francisco. But they acting like he wore that during the time when he didn't have no job and he intentionally messed up his money with Miami when he did that, because he did it during that time they was looking to sign him. Miami was not going to sign that man at all. And we all know that. Y'all know that for sure. They was not going to sign that man. Then too, there is this other rhetoric. This is the last one I'm talking about too. That Colin Kaepernick was on his way out the league when he did this. He knew he was on his way out the league, so he just went and did this. He started kneeling to try to stay relevant and try to keep his name buzzing and hot, because everybody know who Colin Kaepernick is. Newsflash, y'all. San Francisco would not have kept him on his roster. They would not have put him in the game had they not felt like he was a valuable option for them. He was not on his way out the league. Yes, he regressed from the season that he took San Francisco to the Super Bowl. He did regress, but as I mentioned, he still was playing solid. The team around him was just horrible. San Francisco was horrible as a bunch. You cannot blame the quarterback for a horrible football team. One player does not do everything and does not change the outcome of a team like it does in basketball. It does not work like that in football, and everybody knows that. Yet and still, in 11 games, Colin Kaepernick has 16 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions and 2,241 yards, right? And a 90.7 passer rating. So, explain to me how he was on his way out the league during that time. Yeah, he may not have been starter material. But at the same time, the man was still good enough to be a backup on a lot of different teams in the NFL, especially some of the bums I'm seeing out here playing. Some of the bums I was seeing, Nathan Peterman and all these trash quarterbacks that was out here getting a shot, and their backup their backups on teams. You got certain dudes that are trash and they backups on teams. We all know the only reason he not on no team is because he was taking a knee and they feel like it's going to affect their money. So they blackballed him, say none of us going to sign him because he taking a knee, and a lot of the fans may not like that, and people might stop watching our games or stop coming to our games. So we're not going to sign him. That's exactly the reason why he's not on an NFL team now. It has nothing to do with his play. Because strictly looking at those numbers and strictly looking how he looked, he had some blip moments during the season, but he had some nice, very, very nice moments during the season and some nice throws he was making. Any team would try to pick him up, especially now with a lot of these quarterbacks getting injured and the backups looking horrible. A lot of teams could use him. Let me tell you something right now. Case Keenum looked horrible last night against the Bears. He looked terrible, absolutely horrible. And a lot of other quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks that's trying to replace starters, are looking horrible too. And I know Colin Kaepernick can help a nice amount of teams. I know he can help the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a fact. I know he can help Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh need to look into that, matter of fact. But to act like, oh, he was on his way out the door, he wasn't no good. No. He was good enough he was great. He was very, very good enough to be at least a backup quarterback. To be at least that. Compared to these other dudes, you tell me he can't be a backup on any of these teams? After that season, those numbers, a lot of teams would have picked him up after those numbers. A lot of teams, had he not been protesting, a lot of teams would have been like, okay, I'm going to sign you. Even if you ain't a starter, I'm going to keep you as a backup. A lot of teams would have been giving him a shot or reached out to him by now, is what I'm saying. And y'all know that. So don't act like, oh, he was just this. Like, that boy was not out here. Like, that man was not out here throwing 4 picks in a game. He wasn't throwing 3 picks in a quarter, wasn't throwing 4 picks and a half like or 5 picks and a half like Nathan Peterman did. He wasn't doing none of that. But it's so many people just trying to run with that rhetoric. Oh, he was on his way out, and because they heard somebody else say that. They heard somebody else say that shit, and they just ran with it and act like that was just the fact and that was the truth and all of that. Man, I'm telling y'all, it's some dudes out here playing. Who the dude for the Jets that was playing against who was that? The Browns last week. Hell no. Like, no. That type of stuff. No. Like, you can't tell me that Cap don't still belong in the league. You cannot tell me that. But you got people that's just, again, I had to make this video because people just spreading misinformation, false information about how everything played out with Cap and why this happened and why that happened. Ain't no team offered that man no deal. They act like they was talking to him and acted like they were interested to seem like, hey, we're not the bad guys in this situation. We're the good guys. We're trying to look out for him. And this is the thing, too. When Nessa spoke out against... Now, this is one thing I will say I agree with. I don't like for non-black people to call other black people coons and stuff, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny when she did that. And I thought there was a lot of truth in what was going on. Ray Lewis so scared and so shook because he got in trouble when he was playing with Baltimore with his case. He wanted to be the ultimate company man and be on his best behavior. He don't want to say nothing to rub people the wrong way. He don't want to say the wrong thing and get no more trouble. He want to say the right things and stay in the good graces of everybody. So I knew that's exactly why he was saying what he was saying. He want to stay in everybody's good graces and look like the ultimate preacher man. Even when he on NFL Network, he be sound like a preacher. Even when he trying to broadcast, I be like Ray terrible. Ray terrible at the broadcasting. He terrible, for real. Ray is terrible. Him, Chris Webber, and they terrible. But Ray trying to be on his best behavior because he got in trouble with the law. But Colin Kaepernick, he hasn't committed any crime. So Ray, he shouldn't feel ashamed about nothing that he's doing. He shouldn't be ashamed about kneeling to cause to increase awareness about a social injustice affecting his people because he's a black man. Despite him not growing up in a black household or growing up in the black communities that I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, or where Marcellus is from, Compton. He didn't grow up in those type of environments, but at the same time, doesn't that make him more authentic? That man he ain't experienced that firsthand? But he's still willing to say, I'm going to put everything on the line and still talk about this. No matter if people going to hate me, people going to send hate mail my way. They going to talk about me. I might not be able to play this game that I've been wanting to play all my life. I may not even be able to play in the league that I've been wanting to play in all my life. The league I dreamed of all my life to play in. The league I've dreamed of just being a superstar in. I may not be able to play in that league no more. People may hate me, burn my jersey, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm going to stand on what's right and I'm going to speak what's real. And he brought awareness to it, and that's solid. Marcellus Wiley out here criticizing Colin Kaepernick. Again, I ask, Marcellus, what have you done for the cause? You're a person who's on TV. You made some nice lucrative money being on all these different popping networks and TV networks. What have you done? You want to criticize how Colin Kaepernick stepped? Well, at least he did step. How have you stepped, Marcellus? That's all I ask, man. That's what I want to know. Because everybody want to come out and talk about Cap like he just, get him out of here. He's a phony. There's a lot of phony dudes out here that they scared to be who they really want to be because they scared to get fired. They scared to say the wrong thing and upset the apple cart and upset everybody. Especially when they didn't get in trouble like Ray Lewis has. And Marcellus, you sit up there every single day with Jason Whitlock, a man who finds a way every time, even when something is clearly about race, he always tries to find a way to say it's not. And it isn't racist. It's not about race. It's about class with this. It's not about race. It's not. He goes out of his way. Somebody can spray paint the N word all across walls everywhere. He could say it's not about race. It's not about race. Told LeBron James he shouldn't be talking about racism because it don't affect him in no way because he's rich and he has a lot of privilege now that he's an athlete. As if he's not a black man every single day in America. Like, come on, family. At least as if LeBron don't come from the same communities that is affected by police brutality every single day, that is affected by social injustice. Come on, man. You sit up there with dude every single day, letting him clown other black dudes. When it comes to them talking about social injustice, he always trying to clown them and try to act like, stop it. Stop talking about this. Stop talking about that. He want athletes to shut up and dribble. Unless they're talking about giving back to a cause that everybody will agree on, like natural disasters and stuff like that. That's the only time people like for you to talk about anything social when it comes to giving back to natural disasters, because that's the only thing that doesn't make people tense. Because, when race gets talked about, it's a lot of people in America that just shrivel up and, why are you talking about it? Stop talking about it. Please, don't talk about it as if it don't exist, man. F all that, man. It is what it is. Say what it is, man. And Jason Whitlock was up there smiling and just grinning when Marcellus Wiley was just repeating those sentiments. And I'm looking like, look at this dude here, man. Look at this dude. But again, Vlad don't know what he talking about. He don't watch no damn sports at all. He just repeating what Marcellus Wiley say. And he just spreading a lot of misinformation that came from that Marcellus Wiley interview. And I'm here I had to make this video to refute those sentiments. Machiavelli Mills TV, thank y'all for watching. Peace.